God, the universal experience. A cross-disciplinary examination of the soul, consciousness, and universal human patterns. Humanity has always searched for meaning. Across continents, eras, and civilizations, people have attempted to understand the nature of existence, the purpose of life, and the fate of the self after death. These attempts have taken the form of religions, philosophies, rituals, scientific theories, and personal testimonies. Although the languages differ and the cultural expressions vary, the underlying themes remain remarkably consistent. This consistency suggests that human beings are not merely inventing isolated belief systems, but are collectively describing a universal experience that transcends geography, culture, and time. This explores that universal experience through a cross-disciplinary lens, integrating anthropology, neuroscience, psychology, metaphysics, and comparative religion. It argues that the convergence of moral laws, near-death experiences, reincarnation narratives, and consciousness research points toward a single underlying reality: the existence of the soul and the continuity of identity beyond physical life. This is not presented as dogma, but as a unified model that accounts for patterns observed across human history. Universal moral convergence. One of the strongest indicators of a shared human spiritual foundation is the near-identical moral frameworks found across world religions. Traditions that developed thousands of years apart, in cultures with no contact, nonetheless teach the same core principles. Be kind, be generous, do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, respect intimate partnership, care for the vulnerable, rest when needed, work diligently, and treat others as one wishes to be treated. These principles appear in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, indigenous traditions, African ancestral religions, and ancient civilizations such as Egypt, Greece, and Mesopotamia. The universality of these moral laws suggests that they are not arbitrary cultural inventions. Instead, they reflect a deeper metaphysical truth about the nature of human existence. If the soul is real, and if human beings are expressions of a universal source, then it follows that moral laws would emerge consistently across cultures. These laws are not merely social guidelines, they are reflections of the energetic and spiritual structure of the human being. They describe the conditions under which the soul thrives, aligns, and evolves. Near-death experiences and the shared afterlife structure. Near-death experiences, NDEs, provide another powerful cross-cultural pattern. Individuals from diverse backgrounds, religious, secular, atheist, young, old, report strikingly similar experiences during clinical death or extreme physiological crisis. These experiences typically include leaving the body, observing events from above, moving through a tunnel or transitional space, encountering a presence or beings, experiencing overwhelming peace or clarity, reviewing one's life, and receiving a message or choice before returning. The imagery varies according to cultural background, but the structure remains constant. This consistency cannot be fully explained by neurobiological models alone. While some theories propose terminal brain surges or dreamlike hallucinations, they fail to account for veridical perception, accurate observations made during periods of no measurable brain activity, cross-cultural uniformity, and NDEs reported by children with no religious exposure. The simplest explanation is metaphysical. The soul temporarily separates from the body, experiences a non-physical reality, and returns when its journey is not yet complete. This interpretation aligns with both spiritual traditions and emerging scientific hypotheses about non-local consciousness and quantum-level anomalies during clinical death. Reincarnation and the continuity of identity. Reincarnation narratives appear globally, independent of religion or culture. Children in India, Sri Lanka, Lebanon, Turkey, Japan, Africa, Europe, and the Americas have reported memories of past lives with verifiable details they could not have learned through ordinary means. These memories often fade as the new identity solidifies, but emotional imprints, phobias, preferences, and personality traits sometimes persist. This phenomenon suggests that identity is not created solely by the brain. Instead, identity appears to be carried by a persistent non-physical substrate, the soul, which inhabits multiple physical vessels across lifetimes. The body changes, but the continuity remains. This model explains why individuals sometimes feel inexplicable familiarity with certain places, people, or skills, and why some describe their lives as part of a longer journey. Consciousness as the interface between soul and body. Scientific research on consciousness has advanced significantly, yet it still cannot explain why consciousness exists, why awareness feels continuous, or why identity persists despite constant biological change. Neuroscience can describe electrical impulses, neural firing, sensory feedback, and motor activation, but it cannot account for the subjective experience of being alive. A metaphysical model provides a coherent explanation. Consciousness is the interface between the soul and the body. The soul is the persistent identity field, the spirit is the energetic coherence, the impulse layer is the spark of action, consciousness is the translation mechanism, and the body is the vessel. This layered model accounts for both the physical and non-physical aspects of human experience. God as the universal experience. When the evidence is viewed collectively, universal moral laws, cross-cultural NDEs, reincarnation narratives, and the limitations of brain-bound consciousness models, a single conclusion emerges. Human beings are describing the same underlying reality. God is not a cultural construct, but a universal experience. The soul is real, consciousness persists, and love is the highest organizing principle of existence. Across traditions, God is described not as a figure bound by doctrine, but as a source of unconditional love, compassion, and alignment. The universal message is consistent. Faith matters more than religion, love matters more than dogma, and intention matters more than ritual. God does not differentiate between cultures or languages. God responds to the state of the soul. Toward a unified theory of the soul. The unified model proposed here integrates scientific observation with metaphysical insight. Soul is linked to the spirit or electromagnetic body, linked to the impulse layer, which is connected to our consciousness, which directs physical action. This model accounts for the persistence of identity, the continuity of awareness, the universality of moral laws, the structure of near-death experiences, the recurrence of reincarnation narratives, and the limitations of materialist consciousness theories. It provides a framework for future research and a foundation for cross-disciplinary exploration. It does not reject science, it expands it. It does not dismiss spirituality, it translates it. Conclusion. Humanity's shared spiritual patterns are not accidents of culture. They are reflections of a deeper truth. We are more than bodies, more than brains, and more than single lifetimes. We are souls experiencing continuity through different vessels, guided by universal laws that promote alignment, growth, and love. God is not confined to religion. God is the universal experience that emerges whenever human beings confront the deepest questions of existence. This paper serves as a foundation for further exploration into the nature of the soul, the structure of consciousness, and the universal patterns that define human spirituality. It is intended as the first step in a larger body of work that seeks to unify science, metaphysics, and human testimony into a coherent understanding of existence.